Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to knit the herringbone stitch in the round, specifically for this chunky herringbone pillow pattern. So first you want to cast on an even number of stitches. I am using 2 strands of super bulky yarn. I'm using Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick held together, so 2 strands held together, and US 50, 25 millimeter needles. So each stitch will look like 2 stitches, but it's actually just 1 since we're holding the yarn double. So this is stitch 1, stitch 2, and so on. So you want to cast on an even number of stitches. And once you have that, I'm using the long tail cast on. We're going to slip the last stitch that you cast on from the right needle to the left needle. Just slip it purlwise, like so. And then we're going to place a stitch marker to start our round. So I'm using very large needles, so I just kind of made my own stitch marker out of some scrap yarn. Just tied a little knot, and we're ready to start. So the herringbone stitch is only made up of 2 separate rounds. So the first round, we're just going to knit 2 stitches together. It will really look like 4 strands, but that's 2 stitches since we're holding the yarn double. We're going to knit 2 stitches together, but only slide that first stitch off the needle. Keep the second stitch on the needle, like so. And then the second stitch that we didn't slide off becomes the next stitch. So then we'll knit 2 stitches together again, and again only slide that first stitch off the needle. And we keep repeating this. I'll show you a few more times. So knit 2 together and slip that first stitch off the needle. And this is all we do until we have 1 stitch left. Knit 2 together and slip it off. Knit 2 together and slip it off. Show you one more time. Knit 2 together and slip that first stitch off the needles. And we'll repeat this until we have 1 stitch left, and then I'll show you what we do next. Welcome back. I've worked to 1 stitch before my stitch marker, and I'll show you what we do now. So at the end of every round, there are 3 things that we're going to do. We're going to move our stitch marker over to here. We're going to work the next 2 stitches as we have been for that whole row, and we're going to twist the next stitch. So I'll show you what that means. So first thing is we're going to move this stitch marker from the left side of our last stitch to the right side. So we're just going to slip our stitch over to the right needle for a minute, take the stitch marker off, and slip it right back. Then we put the stitch marker on the right needle. So now our last stitch of the round is the first stitch of the next round. And then we're going to knit these 2 stitches together just as we have been for this last round. Knit them together and slip the first one off. And then the last part, we are going to twist this stitch so the leg leans the opposite way. So right now, the front leg of the stitch is in the front. And we are going to take it off the needle and put it on the opposite way so that this leg is leaning this way. So now the back leg is in the front. Let me show you that one more time. So this is how it was on the needle, just like a normal knit stitch with the front leg in front. We're just going to take it off and twist it so the front leg's in back. And now we're ready to start round 2. So round 2 is just like round 1, except you're going to knit through the back loop. So we're going to knit the next 2 stitches together through the back loop and only slip the first stitch off, just like before. So knit 2 together through the back and slip the first stitch off. knit 2 together through the back, whoops, and slip that first one off, just like that. Oops. And then we'll keep repeating until we have 1 stitch left in the round again, and we'll do the same 3 things again. So I'll show you when we get there. I've just finished round 2 of the herringbone pattern, and you can kind of see the herringbone design starting to take shape. So I have 1 stitch left in this round, and if you remember, there are 3 things that we're going to do at the end of every round. So that is move the stitch marker here, work the next 2 stitches like you have been, and twist the next stitch. Okay, so first we're going to slip the last stitch to the right needle just for a minute, remove our marker, slip it back, and place the marker. And then we're going to work the next 2 stitches like we have been. Whoops. I'm going to knit 2 together through the back loop and slip that first stitch off the needle. And then the last part of our little 3-part end of the round thing is we're going to twist this last stitch the opposite direction. So now the front leg is in front, leaning forward. And we're going to repeat round 1. So we just knit 2 together. That first one's a little tight for me usually. And then slide that first of 2 stitches off the needle. And we'll just keep going, repeating rounds 1 and 2 until you're finished.